Welcome to the Online Entrepreneur Experience podcast that details the ins and outs, the how-tos, and the ups and downs of living a life of an online business owner. Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Online Entrepreneur Experience. Deuces, you know him.
The Viking, baby.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to our show.
You guys better be ready to not just find new ways to make money that this big guy is going to tell you about, but to get some knowledge bombs today. I'm pumped up. Renee said I had to come energized, and I'm energized today.
He is. He's got more energy than me. Rare, I know. It's so rare. So today, guys, we're going to do something a little bit different. I am the host of the show. Unfortunately, I don't have my microphone. Mark is the guest. He is going to be filling you with all of his amazing knowledge, and I'm just going to be asking him questions. So today we want to talk about doing what is required of you. Heavy stuff.
It sounds simplistic, though, doesn't it?
It sounds simplistic, but when you start unpackaging that and opening that box up, we can go deep.
It's so fucking deep.
But on top of that, we also have surprises for you guys. You got to watch to the end to hear what that surprise is.
The cliffhanger. If you're
Cliffhanger.
going to be hanging out the cliff, don't worry, we will pull you up at the end. You won't fall. You're in safe.
Adrian! Okay, well, let's just start this off. So, Mark, what does doing what is required of you mean to you?
Well, I mean, like in the end of the day, like you first have to have a goal in some type of way, right? Like you have to have something that you're shooting for. Let's just say like you're trying to score a goal in soccer. So what is required of you to score a goal in soccer? Well, 1, to use your feet and not your hands, right? 2 is to kick the ball. And 3 is to get it between the goalposts without any objects getting in the way, right? So, I mean, like if you decide to pick up the ball instead of kicking it, you're not doing what's required. And to every single thing that's in life that you're trying to achieve, maybe it's to make a little bit extra money, maybe it's to lose a little bit extra weight, maybe it's to start something, maybe it's to finish something. There's always a prerequisite of what is required of you to be able to achieve that goal or destination, right?
Interesting. Oh, that's awesome, man. I love how you explain that. But what happens if somebody is having a little bit of trouble figuring out what the goal is first?
Well, essentially, you have to have some type of intentionality. Let's just say maybe you're like, I want to make some extra money. I don't know how, right? So first you have to find something that at least you're passionate about, or you know of some feasible way that you'll be able to do it. And maybe the feasible way is something that's going to take some extra effort. Maybe it's starting a new online business that you've never been able to do before. That's what I had to do. I tried a bunch of different businesses before I went into the online space. And I wasn't successful at it. And what I needed to do is to find out what was required of me to actually have that success, to be able to make that money online. And for me to be able to do that, I had to find the right people and partner with those people that had done it before, so they could explain it to me in a little bit more layman terms to be able to do that. And then I could set some ramifications around it, because I had no clue what was required of me to be able to do that. Like it seems so simple. Oh, you just, make a Facebook page and you can start making money. And I feel like that is what a lot of people set themselves up for, and they don't actually know what's required of them to be able to do that. Or if they're even told what they have to do, the decision if they're actually going to do it.
Makes total sense to me, buddy. So if somebody is contacting you, we'll say, and they have somewhat of a goal lined up, but they don't know where to start, what would you say is number 1 when it comes to starting, not only pushing forward towards their goal or dream, but also how are they supposed to know what is required of them?
I think like they first have to figure out what matters to them, because there's some people that it really matters to them how they make money, and other people that doesn't matter at all. So I think like what they have to, there's this big barrier that a lot of people have. They have these ideas like, oh, I want to start a business where I can sell t-shirts. And it's just like, well, why does that matter to you? Well, it doesn't. It's just that's what I have in my head as how I'm going to do it. It's like, well, if it doesn't matter to you, if there's a better opportunity, an easier way to make that money, does that make more sense to you? Does that matter more to you? So it's really, you got to figure out what matters to you. Because some people are like, no. It has to be like something that is, goes with like my charity that I want to do, or something along those kind of lines, or that like I'm really into art. It has to have something to do with art, or I really like to speak out loud. So I really want everyone to hear my voice. You have to figure out what matters to you first, and then you can proceed. And until you figure that out, it's really hard to proceed, because what will happen is you'll just start something to start it and you won't go anywhere because you won't know why this even matters to you. So if you have no purpose behind it, you're not going to do it, right?
Makes sense, man. I like what you're saying.
I make dollars too.
Going.
Just letting you know, I also make dollars. Not just cents, I make dollars.
Cheesy. So you use the analogy at the beginning of soccer.
Yeah.
What is the number one thing that somebody would need if they were to learn soccer or learn an online business?
So, I mean, like we'll put soccer because I think it's something that everybody kind of understands, right? And the terminology can go to every capacity of anything. It could be like working out at the gym. It could be starting an online business. It could be starting a brick and mortar business. It could be learning a new skill. Does not matter. It's all the freaking same thing, right? So let's just say that you wanted to learn how to play soccer. First, you have to figure out what the rules are. Like if you don't know what the rules are of soccer, if you go out there and play, you're probably going to break them, and then you're going to get penalties, and nobody wants that, right? So you have to figure out what the rules are. So the parameters of what you're about to go play. It's quick, easy. You can watch like a 3-minute video online. That would be your first step. What is the actual game that you're about to go play? Once you know that game, then you can start going to do it. And you have the choice of if you want to do things the quick way or the slow way. And if you want to do things the quick way, that's getting a coach or a mentor or somebody that's better than you and has had success, the success that you want, and you partner with them. If it's paid or if you're doing free work for them or somehow actually helping them out as well, then you most likely can partner with them. Or you just start doing it yourself and you just keep putting in the reps, watching videos, putting in reps, and you just keep working on one facet at a time. So in soccer, let's just say that you want to score goals, then you can just start shooting. Eventually you'll have to learn how to dribble the ball. Eventually you'll have to learn how to pass. Eventually you're going to have to learn how to check, but you just work on one facet at a time. You get good at that, and then you can move on to the next thing. So that would be the step. So first, figure out the game. Second, you figure out how you're going to learn the game or the skill. Third is you focus on one area until you move to the next.
Fair enough, buddy. So you talked about soccer, and I know I don't sport, but I do know, I do know that in most sports, you typically have a coach.
For sure.
And I've heard a lot of people talking about these online business coaches.
I've never heard of those before.
Yeah, it's the first I've ever heard of them, and it just came out of my mouth. But how do you know, or what is, in your opinion, the way to tell if someone is a good coach or they're just bullshitting?
For sure. So, I mean, in any sport or any profession, there is coaches. Like you even look at golf, which is a one-man sport. They have a coach. You look at tennis, they have a coach. And there's a good reason for that, is because doing something on your own without being able to see what you're doing at all times and being objective to how you're performing or what you're doing makes it a lot harder to get better. But if you have somebody with an objective point of view that can look at it in a different perspective and they can give those to you, that's how you're going to improve. And to give somebody that has no skin in the game other than to make you better, yeah, most likely you're going to get better, because that's their only goal in mind. That's the only reason why they're working with you, right? Is to make you better. So that's why it's so important to have some type of coach. So the best way to go about it is to talk to one. Like the best way, and to see if you drive. Like I get in calls with people, and there's some people I'm just like, you know what, we're not the right fit. Like this isn't like, I'm not the right coach for you. I'm not the right mentor for you. You should go over here. And I will tell people that, just because I don't drive with everybody. Like there's a certain parameter of what I want out of a student as well. So one is having a conversation, asking them questions like, these are my goals. Like, how do you think that you can get me here? How can you help me? So finding out, and the ways that they're going to help you, if those are the ways that are okay with you to make the money, or make the goal. Because if it's not okay with you and you're stuck on one way, they're probably not a good coach. So I would, one, figure out if you jive with the person, because if you're essentially partnering up with somebody, it's just like getting into a relationship with a girl or a boy. Like you should probably like them. You should probably like them. Two is like figuring out what the like goal they're going to get you to, and then if you're okay with that's the pathway. Because if you're not okay, and most times it's just your own ego and own shortcomings that are in the way, but if they're not the right fit, then they're not the right fit. But most likely the reason why they're not the right fit is because you're not the right fit at that moment in time, and you have to change some stuff about yourself.
Cool, man. I like where you're going with this, but I gotta know, have you ever encountered someone who, even though you told them what is required of them, did they not do that? Did they ever stray away? And how do you handle that?
I mean, like I get it, like almost on an every single day basis. Like people are constantly like there's the bare minimum right here, and for some reason people want to go down here and find excuses and reasons why and all that kind of stuff to like lower the bar. And it's just like nowadays, a lot of people that work like 9 to 5s, they think like the only thing you have to do is just show up for work. And it's just like, yeah, that's the bare minimum. No, actually, the bare minimum is to show up for work and then do all of the tasks for the day. But for some reason, that's continued to be the lowered standard. And people want to find reasons why that's okay. And in the end of the day, like not knowing what's required of you or changing what's required of you because it fits your moral compass or your ideals doesn't mean that that actually is the reality of the situation. And I see so often people would be like, I'm just busy, so I just can't do it. I mean, you and me were just having a conversation about this the other day, like of people needing to have like do a certain amount of like content on social media, and they're just like, well, you know, I have kids, I have a job, so I just can't do it. Like, so I chose to do less, and that's fine. And I'm going to tell other people that's fine too. And that is one of the worst things you can possibly do, is not only you're lowering your own standards and saying it's okay to you, like you've like created this horrible habit habit of doing that, and a horrible agreement with yourself that it's okay to do less than what you're supposed to, what's required of you. And I think that's just awful when I see that. It just, I know it like drives you nuts because you sent me a whole Renee rant about it. But for me, it does too, because it's such a disservice to yourself. It's like you want to get this goal. And what happens is if you don't do what's required of you, let's just say that you're supposed to post 3 times and you decide to post 2 times. And with the analytics and everything like that, you only posting 2 times makes you achieve the goal that you want of, let's just say, making $1,000. Take you twice or 3 times as long. Like, is that really worth it at that point in time? Whereas most people will say, if you tell them that way, they'll say no, but then they'll still choose to go below the minimum standard. And they'll be like, why didn't I have the success? It's like, well, why didn't you meet the bare minimum? And people would rather complain about their outcome than look at their shortcomings and what they didn't do that was required of them in the first place, right?
So you're telling me that a lot of people don't like to take ownership of their mistakes? Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that I was driving to the Home Depot parking lot, and a guy decided to drive into my lane and then back into his, cutting me off. And then I put up my hands like this, and he told me, that's a big deal, Mark? That's a big deal? And he didn't say Mark. It's just like, yeah, it's kind of a big deal to drive on the wrong side of the road. Just kind of a big deal. It's against the law, creates accident. It's kind of a big deal, but don't worry, it was my fault for following the rules. So yes, that is one of the massive things in our culture nowadays, is people can't take accountability.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you is, when you have someone that you are either coaching yourself, or let's use the soccer team analogy. That's
Yes.
what I'm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Analogy. Yeah.
No, if we're going to use the soccer team analogy, and I know that you coach people as well, and if you're dealing with someone who is not doing what is required of them and doing less than the bare minimum, how do you handle that? And is it just cut and go, or do you try to mentor them and help them out so that they are doing a bit more and trying to level themselves up, or what do you do?
So if I was a soccer coach and I would remove the person, let's just say like it was required of them to pass the ball to their teammates, I would take that person off the field and be like, until you're going to be ready to do what's required of you to play on my team, you wouldn't be doing that. But since I coach most people that run their own businesses, what I will do is I'll generally give people the perspective, be like, hey, like I ask them why they have chosen to do this, and they'll usually tell me whatever their rationale is to it, which is generally an excuse, but I mean, it's their rationale because it's their world that they live in, right? So they think it's realistic. And then I'll tell them, be like, hey, like you can either get resourceful and find the resources to be able to do what's going to be required of you, or you're going to take longer to get to your goals. So as long as you're okay with taking longer to get to your goals, that's totally cool with me. But what I want to know is, has your goals changed? And if they haven't changed, why aren't you doing what's it's going to take to go get your goals? And most times people won't want to change their goals, but they'll complain about the outcome. So I will just give them that perspective. And if they continue down that pathway, I'll just say, like, maybe I'm just not the right coach for you because you're not going to listen to me. And at that point in time, you're not being coachable. And I only work with people that are coachable. Because honestly, man, like there's so many people that truly want to win in this world. And I only give my attention and my energy to the people that actually want to win.
Fair enough, man. I like it. So what are some things that are required of you that you don't like to do?
Oh, fuck, man. Like everything I do, like I almost don't like to do. In what capacity? Are we talking about professional? Are we talking about personal? What are we talking about here, bro?
Well, let's just keep it professional here.
Okay.
We don't need to bring our wives into this.
Whoa, how do we make that jump?
I'll just see myself out.
Yeah, like one of the things, like at first I'll talk about like entry level in, because I think the majority of the people that listen to this podcast are more like entry level entrepreneurs and stuff like that. One of the big things that I didn't want to do at first was do videos like this. Like I was really uncomfortable with it. I was really like unhappy to do that, and I just flat out didn't want to. And it hurt my business, and I wasn't doing what's required of me. Left like thousands upon thousands, probably like 6 figures worth of revenue sitting on the table because I would do some videos for no reason other than just my own ego and pride and bullshit. And that's generally what it is, right? So like nowadays, like I don't know, like I just have a different outlook on things. Like everything I do, I don't not want to do. So like there's nothing I don't not want to do, because I know if I put it into my life, it has value in some type of way, even if it's something that doesn't make me comfortable, maybe something that I don't like absolutely freaking love to do. Like one of the things like I'm doing right now is scheduling, and I don't absolutely love to do it, but I know what it's going to bring me and what it's going to help me achieve. So even though like it's not like a habit that like I loved like through the moon, and it's just like shooting a video with you, bro, then like I still like it holds value. So like the way that my mind has changed is there's nothing that's in my life that I don't like doing. There's just certain situations that I prefer just not to be in, and then I modify my life just to not be in those situations anymore.
So now fast forwarding to today, because you said years ago you didn't like doing videos and you've left about 6 figures on the table because you didn't do that, because you weren't doing what
I'm smart, right? Like just super smart.
Oh yeah. So now how do you feel about videos?
Oh, bro, I love it, man. Like this is what I do. Like the majority of my days is a lot of videos, video editing, all that kind of stuff. It's a way of me being able to get my message out there on a greater platform, and me be able to change people's lives. Plus, you can make a freaking ton of money by doing videos. So like not doing it and just choosing not to make money and then complaining about how much money you're making isn't a smart way of doing life in general.
Right. So what you're telling me is even though you don't like doing it, you should probably just go ahead and do it because it's something that is required of you.
That's it, man. And maybe eventually you will like doing it.
Yeah. So what is required of you doesn't necessarily have to pertain to online business or soccer. It can pertain to anything, even a relationship with your wife or husband.
Totally.
Anything.
Like, if you don't like taking out the garbage, but that's what's required of you in your relationship, fucking take out the garbage. It's like 30 seconds to a minute of your life. But the problem is a lot of people make a big deal about that. Resentment grows by your partner because you're not doing what's required of you. And then now your relationship's failing just over a minute activity.
Yeah. So, I mean, me personally, I would rather argue with my wife for about half hour instead of doing the 1 minute task.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it just sounds.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah.
But how often does that happen? Like, how often have you seen that happen? Like somebody just unwilling to do what's required of them, like say in a relationship, very easy. And instead of just going and doing that, like you can even use your children as an example, because that's probably the thing that happens the most, right? And it's just like, if you would have just done that, you would have saved 30 minutes of your life of that argument and all of that energy and all that toxicness that you just brought into your life.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And kids, I love my kids, but they're the worst.
By far. Because it's just so nonsensical. It's like, how do you talk to somebody that's nonsensical about something that needs to be is sensible?
So on the topic of doing what is required of people, why don't you tell our viewers what is required of them? So what's big surprise?
What's required of you guys right now is to go drop a comment. It could even be just Renee's name. Just put Nene in there. Just like
Nene.
And that's cool because as soon as we hit 2,500 subs, we're going to be giving away $100 gift card. So what's required of you is not just to give us a like and hit that bell notification with that sub that you're subscribed to us on, but actually throw a comment down there as well. Like if you have a question about, like maybe you don't know what's required of you in some type of facet of your life, like drop it in the comments and I'll definitely help you. As you've seen, Renee's been grilling me all night, like I've been wanting to cry. My feet have been to the fire. I know a thing or two about doing what's required of you. So if you're struggling with that, so put that in the comment. But otherwise, just put something else in the comment, even if it's a why, meaning yes. You could win $100.
Who doesn't love free money, right? So make sure you also, like Mark said already, hit the bell notification because we're not giving that money away till we hit 2,500 subs.
That's it. That's it. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I guarantee you got value. I'd love to hear what kind of value you did get. But we will see you next week when we drop some more bombs. Thanks for tuning into the Online Entrepreneur Experience. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes that we're releasing and any of these amazing pieces of value that we're giving out. And if you could take the time out of your day and leave us a review, we would be so grateful. We look forward to seeing you on that next episode.